So we've just discussed isoquants, which show all the combinations of labor and capital that produce the same level of output. But while isoquants tell us how much we can produce, they don't tell us how much it costs to produce that level of output. In the real world, firms don't just want to know what's possible. They also want to know how to minimize costs, because that's a serious consideration for firms operating in a market context where they have a hard budget constraint. This is where isocost lines come in. Just like isoquants help us understand the trade-offs between labor and capital in terms of production, isocost lines help us understand the trade-offs between labor and capital in terms of cost to the firm. An isocost line shows all the combinations of labor and capital that a firm can afford given a certain budget. So if they have $10,000 to spend in a month, how much capital and labor can they afford? And all the different combinations of them. So a restaurant could hire 5 workers and buy 1 oven to cook their food, or hire 3 workers and 2 ovens to make their food, and result in the same amount per day. But these different combinations of labor and capital can cost different amounts of money. So the shop wants to choose the combination that not only allows them to make the desired numbers of pizza, but also to minimize their costs. A firm needs to consider not only how many workers and ovens it needs, that's the isoquant, but also how much it costs to hire those workers and to buy those ovens. That's the isocost line. By combining these two together, the firm can decide on the most cost-efficient combination of inputs. So here's an example of 2 potential isocost lines for any firm, because it's much easier to visualize this and put it on a graph than it is for me to just sit here and explain it. All combinations on each line are equally costly. So every point on the isocost curve CW here, or C0, excuse me, has the same cost. Now the isocost line C1 out here has a higher cost at every single combination. So a firm that tries to minimize costs, which is most firms, would prefer to be on line C0 rather than line C1 because it represents lower costs to them. Now the point on the x-axis down here represents one extreme. This is a firm that hires all workers and uses no physical capital. The y-axis up here is the other extreme, where the firm uses all capital and not a single worker. They're completely automated. Now, almost all firms rely on some combination of workers and capital, lying somewhere in here between the 2 axes. The slope is the trade-off, or the ratio of the price of capital to the price of labor. It shows the relative costs of these 2 inputs. If the slope is steeper, that means a firm can trade off fewer workers for more capital. It means that labor has become relatively more expensive compared to capital. So this firm is likely to try to substitute cheaper inputs, so capital, for more expensive ones, or labor to minimize the cost, while still producing the same level of output.